Hello, welcome to Story Time with Nicola. Today I'm looking forward to reading you one of my new favourite authors. This is written by Andrea Beaty and it's called Ada Twist, Scientist, and it's got lovely illustrations by David Roberts. And I found Andrea's books and I have just eaten them up. They're so well written. I keep giving them away to little friends of mine. So I don't have any but this one right now, but I'm going to get some more so that I can read them to you too. And before we start, I wanted to say one thing. You know, it's a beautiful day today right now. And I know most of you on a day like today will be out playing with your friends. And right now I know you can't do that. So I just wanted to tell you I'm proud of you for being patient and staying home the way you have to right now. And I hope you're being very helpful to your parents. That always gets you brownie points if you ask if you can help do something. And try not to argue with your baby brother or sister because that's just irritating. Nobody needs to hear that, right? So thank you for being patient with your teachers and with your parents. And I hope you enjoy Ada Twist, Scientist. And I'm going to read this one thinking of my little friend Michael, who I think is kind of a scientist in the making. Ada Marie, said not a word till the day she turned 3. She bounced in her crib and looked all around, observing the world, but not making a sound. She learned how to climb and made her big break with a trail of chaos left in her wake. She ran through the day, chasing each sound and sight, and didn't slow down till she conked out at night. I'm sorry, I covered my mouth there. I hope you could still hear it. Her parents were frazzled and tried not to freak as Ada grew bigger and still did not speak. Clearly, young Ada, with lots in her head, would have something to say when it ought to be said. There's her parents. And there's Ada. That's just what happened. When Ada turned 3, she tore through the house on a fact-finding spree and climbed up the clock just as high as she could. Her parents yelled, "Stop!" as all good parents would. Ada's chin quivered, but she did not cry. She took a deep breath and she simply asked, "Why? Why does it tick? And why does it tock? Why don't we call it a granddaughter clock? Why are there pointy things stuck to a rose? Why are there hairs up the inside of your nose?" She started with why and what, how and when. By bedtime she came back to why once again. She drifted to sleep as her dazed parents smiled at the curious thoughts of their curious child who wanted to know what the world was about. They kissed her and whispered, "You'll figure it out." See all those questions? Why, what, how, when? Her parents kept up with their high-flying kid, whose questions and chaos both grew as she did. Even Miss Greer found her hands were quite full when young Ada's chaos wreaked havoc at school. But much was clear about Miss Ada Twist. She had all the traits of a great scientist. See all the colors? She's thinking about things. She's making potions. Ada was busy that first day of spring, testing the sounds that make mockingbirds sing, when a horrible stench whacked her right in the nose, a pungent aroma that curled up her toes. "Zowie," said Ada, which got her to thinking, what is the source of that terrible stinking? How does a nose know there's something to smell? And does it still stink if there's no nose to tell? She rattled off questions and tapped on her chin. She'd start at the start, where she ought to begin. A mystery, a riddle, a puzzle, a quest. This was the moment that Ada loved best. Ada did research to learn all she could of smelling and smells, both both the stinky and good. One hypothesis Ada thought could be true, that terrible stink came from Dad's cabbage stew. Do you know what a hypothesis is? It's when you put forward an idea and then you see if it's true or not. So, for example, if the room's dark, your hypothesis might be it's because the lights aren't on. But you might also hypothesize it's because it's nighttime or because the drapes are pulled. So you can test all these ideas, these suggestions, these hypotheses by turning on the lights or opening the drapes or looking outside to see if it's nighttime. One hypothesis Ada thought could be true. The terrible stink came from Dad's cabbage stew. She tested and tested, but soon Ada knew it was time to come up with hypothesis 2. Then zowie, the stink struck again, just like that. Hypothesis 2. It's caused by the cat. The cat couldn't make such a stink on its own. It needed perfume and some fancy cologne. So young Ada tested. The test was a flop. She started again, but her parents yelled, "Stop!" Do you see what she's doing? She's putting the cat in the washing machine. That's not a good idea. Ada Marie, to the thinking chair now, by the time we count 3. Enough, said her mother. That's it, said her dad. Her parents were frustrated, frazzled, and mad. Why? Ada questioned. Her mother said, nope. What? Ada queried. Her father said, go. You've ruined our supper. You've made the cat stink. Enough with your questions. Now sit there and think. She looked at her parents. Her heart turned to goo. Poor Ada Twist didn't know what to do. She sat all alone by herself in the hall, and Ada once more could say nothing at all. And so Ada sat, and she sat, and she sat, and she thought about science and stew and the cat. And she thought about experiments made such a big mess. Does it have to be so? Is that part of success? Are messes a problem? And while she was thinking, what was the source of that terrible stinking? Ada Marie did what scientists do. She asked a small question and then she asked 2. And each of those led her to 3 questions more. And some of those questions resulted in 4. As Ada got thinking, she really dug in. She scribbled her questions and tapped on her chin. Look where she's scribbling her questions. Uh-oh. She started at why and then what, how and when. At the end of the hall, she reached why once again. Her parents calmed down and they came back to talk. They looked at the hallway and just had to gawk. No patch of bare paint could be seen on the wall. The thinking chair now was the great thinking hall. They watched their young daughter and sighed as they did. What would they do with this curious kid who wanted to know what the world was about? They smiled and whispered, "We'll figure it out." And that's what they did. Because that's what you do when your kid has a passion and a heart that is true. They remade their world. Now they're all in the act of helping young Ada sort fiction from fact. She asks lots of questions. How could she resist? It's all in the heart of a young scientist. She's got a nice big ladder to climb on and a whiteboard. And as for that smell, what can Ada Twist do but learn all she can with her friends in grade 2? Will they discover the stink that curls toes? Well, that is the question. And someday, who knows? There you go. I hope you enjoyed that story. And I'll see you again next time. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.